Heyo neighbors, this is Music Festivals Podcast, the show that helps you get to know popular concert venues and music festivals before you go. I'm your host, Neighbor Nate, and I'm glad you're in the neighborhood. Welcome back, neighbors, to Season 1, Episode number 13 of the Music Festivals Podcast. This is the show that helps you get to know music festivals and festival venues before you go. And I am your host, Neighbor Nate, back each week. Today, we're looking at part 2 of my recap of CaveFest 2024 down at the Caverns in Grundy County, Tennessee. This took place last Sunday, 10/13, and I actually had media credentials, so I was able to get over 20 some odd videos from this festival, and I'm going to show you a couple more of those today. You can see the rest of them on the YouTube playlist for the Caverns if you go to the YouTube channel. But what you're going to see today is everything from some vendor interviews to a little bit about the caves. There's just so much to show you, and we'll leave you with a very special performance. But before we get to all that, let's go ahead and get to the news.
I gotta get down to the
Right. So for this week's festival news, we do have to start on what is a terrible, terrible note. So most recently at the Joshua Tree Music Festival that took place in Joshua Tree, California, and this was October 10th through the 13th, 2024. So same time CaveFest was going on. Julia Florence Wayne, age 33, who is a resident of Seattle, Washington, passed away on Sunday night, 10/13. Cause of death is unknown at this time. She was found early that morning. Julia is survived by her parents and her young son, Franklin. So this is just heartbreaking. I'm not sure what Franklin's age is. I think 2.5 years old. But clearly a huge loss for not only the family and for her son, but for everybody who is part of the Joshua Tree Music Festival community. Her parents have actually set up a fund to help support Franklin as he grows. And so if you were at Joshua Tree, this is where you can find that. The website is juliawayne.love. And you can share this with anybody who is at the festival, or you can make donations to the family here. Julia is going to be buried this Saturday in her hometown of Lansdale, Pennsylvania. So definitely thoughts and prayers and condolences go out to the family in such a dark time. On a little bit better note, or a lot more positive note, DarkStar Jubilee recently announced that Blind Faith tickets are actually on sale as of this week. You can get those at darkstarjubilee.com. And this festival is going to be May 23rd through the 25th. They just announced the dates. And again, it's happening at Legend Valley in Thornville, Ohio. The Blind Faith tickets are actually really, really reasonable. This is the cheapest you're going to get these tickets. So $195 for the weekend for adults. And that includes camping, which is incredible. Kids are $50 plus some fees. Festival ticket add-ons are available for family camping, Camp Traction, which is the sober camping, and they do have ADA camping available. If you want to find out more about what this festival looks like, episode number 3 of this season is actually a recap from the 2024 edition of DarkStar Jubilee. This was the festival I went to where I decided, it's time to do this podcast. If you listen to the intro music, the piano piece is actually played by Holly Bowling, and that was part of her solo set at the 2024 version of that festival. Just a really great experience at DarkStar Jubilee. Legend Valley has a great sound system. So if you've not made it to this and you are a fan of that little band called the Grateful Dead, definitely make it to Legend Valley for this. Next up, in terms of more announcements, and this is officially, I guess, an unofficial announcement, maybe. I'm not sure how that works, but Nelson Ledges Quarry Park recently announced on Facebook that the 2025 dates for one of my favorite festivals that they do, and that's the Grassfire Festival, has been announced. And this year it's going to be happening over the July 4th weekend. And again, that's Nelson Ledges Quarry Park in Garrettsville, Ohio. July 4th is a Friday this year, so I'm guessing that early bird will be out Thursday. There's not really any definitive information on this yet, but they do mention in this Facebook post that there's going to be fireworks, that they're going to have a firework display. It looks like they shoot them off from the island. If you've never been to Nelson Ledges Quarry Park, that's going to be something to see, because it's a beautiful venue. It's ironically, as I travel around, if I wear my Nelson Ledges Quarry Park shirt, great tie-dye shirt with the logo on it, I'm going to get stopped 3, 4, 5 times by people who've been there and can't sing the praises enough about this venue. So definitely check this out. Keep an eye on the website, Nelson Ledges Quarry Park website. Tickets are not available yet. The lineup is not announced yet, but it looks like this one's going to be a great big old celebration for the nation's birthday. If you want to find out more about what this actually looks like as a festival, go back to episode number 5 of this season. That's a recap of Grateful Fest as well as Grassfire up at Nelson Ledges Quarry Park. I will definitely be back for this festival. One of my favorite places to go, one of my favorite festivals to go to. Lots and lots of great bands are going to be playing. So something to keep an eye on this year. So likewise, too, I do want to mention this again. We talked about this a little bit last week, but Industrial Strength Bluegrass Festival is happening November 7th through the 9th, and that's at the Roberts Convention Center in Wilmington, Ohio. It's rolling up on some of the very last festivals in Ohio, or at least in the Midwest for this year. Again, this festival is the winner of the 2022 and 2024 IBMA Event of the Year. And it is very much, it appears to be very much more of a traditional bluegrass festival with everything you would expect, workshops, different artist educational sessions. So if you are a picker, this is definitely one to go to. According to the Facebook page and according to the website, Wyatt Ellis is actually the artist in resident at this festival. So I imagine he'll be sitting in with a lot of different folks. Can't find cheaper tickets around. Tickets are as low as $35 for a single day, $150 for a three-day Gold Reserve pass, and that's the door prices. And I would imagine Gold Reserve is going to get you some pretty good seats. It is in an auditorium. It's an indoor festival in a convention center, so be ready for that. But definitely check out this festival, the Industrial Strength Bluegrass Festival, one of the last of the season, coming up over my birthday weekend, November 7th through the 9th. Very, very excited about hopefully getting to make this one for a day. I do want to mention this too. None of the festivals that I mention here are paid sponsors. Nobody's given me any money. I don't make any money on this show yet. And so this is more of just, these are great places to go see live music and go check out festivals, and that's what I'm trying to share here. But know that nobody's paying me any money from any of these festivals to mention them. Hopefully that'll come someday, but we're not there yet. So, just a final wrap up on the news. Again, we're coming to the end of festival season in what is known as the Midwest, or at least anywhere. If you look at the festivals that are left for October and November, most of them are indoor festivals and/or moving down into the southern states. But there's not that many left. Again, I've mentioned this before. Music Festival Wizard is a great place to go to find these. There's a sortable database. But if you are looking to get 1 or 2 or 3 more festivals in for this year, a lot of them are the Haunted Fests coming up, the different Halloween themed festivals that are coming up. And I know what's more popular is the Halloween themed shows. We've seen a lot of great shows coming out. Daniel Donato is doing Charlie, Willy Wonka's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka themed event. I know that Billy Strings has announced that they are doing an Oh Brother, Where Art Thou themed Halloween show. So all of these are going to be great shows. But definitely check out the remaining festivals for this season before things kind of wrap up for the winter and the holidays. And hopefully you can get out to 1 or 2 more. So, moving on from the news, we want to get back into a couple videos from CaveFest. So what I like about the Caverns is I prefer festival venues that have activities to do outside of just seeing the music, because a lot of times the music doesn't start at 9 a.m. I'm an early riser. I get up and I've got a couple hours to hang out, and you can only play cornhole for so long. So when you go to venues like Cottonwood Meadows, where Billy Strings Renewal was held, there's tons of stuff to do: mountain biking, hiking. There's a lake with kayaks and paddles and swimming. There's multiple music workshops happening in the center village area in the camp center. If you go to Nelson Ledges, same thing there. Places to swim, great kayaking, great stand-up paddleboarding. Cliff jumping is very, very unique. And then you can walk down the road and go to actually Nelson Ledges State Park, where there's some great hiking in and around the rock formations there. The Caverns in Grundy County, Tennessee, well, they have what the name says. They actually have caverns. And so let's take a look at what those caverns actually look like, because you can actually go on the full cave tour.
My name's Annalie.
Annalie, so we just went on the cave tour. It sounds like you spend a lot of time in caves.
I've been caving for 4 years.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. How'd you get into it?
So I have had a friend who told me for like 5 years, he said you should join the local grotto, which is the caving club. And it took me a long time to do it. And he's one of those people who kind of like knows things beforehand. He knew I was gonna like it. We just went into our first cave and then never stopped
You
going.
just got hooked on it.
Well, it just was crazy because I didn't think it would change me, right? I just thought, oh, I'm just going into a cave. But then it started working on me on so many different internal levels because you're confronting fears and darkness and overcoming all kinds of stuff. It's been wild. In the Swanee Mountain Grotto, which I'm part of, one of the members, she told Todd that this land and thus this cave was for sale. So essentially he came, he liked, he bought it. But then there was a lot of work because when you were just in there yesterday dancing and all of that, it's very wide open, but that used to be filled with like 30,000 tons of mud and debris because it was on a natural slope. And over time, that just piles up. And people way in the past, they could come into that cave when there was water with their kayaks and they could almost touch the ceiling. We're in Cave Mecca. So in this part of Tennessee has 10,000 caves and they're still being discovered. I actually have friends who intentionally are searching for caves. Most of the caves in this part of the region are limestone and essentially it's more porous and so water is eroding it over a long period of time. And chert is similar to flint and the Native Americans would use it to make tools. And if you see in here, it's actually really pretty. It's like blue and white inside. These tiny little things, those are all fossils from over 300 million years ago because this part of the world was a shallow sea. And then eventually all of that life sunk to the bottom, started building up sediment layers and eventually turned into limestone. And then the water came in and started carving it out. And so these are the pieces of these living organisms from a long, long time ago. Well, we're here 7 days a week from 9 to 5.
And that's something you can do without being at a festival. You
Oh
can
yeah,
just
totally.
come-
I mean, a lot of people just come for the tours and then sometimes they didn't even really know what it was or they didn't even see a show. They just wanted to go on a cave tour.
Yeah.
It's something to do and then like fall break sometimes, good thing for kids.
Yeah.
Parents are like desperate to know what can I do with my kids?
It's such an interesting experience. Well, I appreciate you talking to me.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So Annalie was a great tour guide. Aside from knowing her stuff and clearly being very experienced hanging out underground in caves, she could be an aspiring stand-up comedian. It was one of the funniest cave tours that we've been on. But there's a lot of different ways to see that cave. So that was the big walking tour. They have adventure tours where, like Annalie said, you can get on your belly and crawl around. I'm a little bit too claustrophobic for that thing. But it looks like the kids really enjoyed it. There was a couple kids on our tour, and there's little passages you can go in that allow you to kind of experience crawling on your belly under passageways that are part of that tour as well. But if you get down to the caverns, it is totally worth taking some time out of the day and going and checking out the cave. And as a side note, if it's really, really hot out, and it was that day, caves always stay consistently, I think, around like 50 some odd degrees underground. So it's a nice little break from the heat if you want to go down there, or the cold. If it's incredibly cold outside, it's still going to be the same temperature in the cave. If you want to see more from the cave, and you saw a couple clips of cave yoga in there. I don't have time to play that whole video, but go to the Caverns playlist on YouTube. That's part of the YouTube channel. If you look for the Caverns playlist, you'll see all the videos from the weekend at CaveFest, including the cave tour video, including cave yoga, including multiple different performances from a lot of different bands that were there. You'll see one of those performances at the end of the show today. But definitely take some time to go and check out the caves. One of the things that is also really important at a festival is the various different vendors, right? The craft vendors are huge. And I feel like the Caverns does a nice job to make a good experience for the vendors, but I also saw a lot of great vendors that were at the festival, some that I actually saw out at Cottonwood Meadows as well. So these folks do tend to get around and make a whole business out of this. But if there is one thing that every festival neighbor needs, it is tie-dye. And I got to meet Hunter, and Hunter has a really, really interesting take on tie-dye. So check it out.
name's Hunter.
Hunter, and
Yeah.
what's the name of your booth here?
Melted Mind Designs.
Melted Mind Designs. So I walked by, these immediately caught my eye because like there's some of the coolest tie dyes I've seen. I have to ask, like, how do you get it? How do you get the designs so crisp and stuff? Like, what do you do?
So for a lot of like the lines and crispness, that's just how tight you tie it.
Yeah.
I use something called sinew. It's like a wax covered artificial deer hide string. So that helps resist some of the dye. So like this shirt was actually a black t-shirt. I don't know if you can see or if it's just audio.
Yep, no, I can see it.
This was a black t-shirt that I reversed color out, so the black lines, that's like the original color still left.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it stayed because the lines were tied so tight. And then, you know, same thing with the white. You have the white lines or color sneaks in there.
Yeah.
All this stuff I do is ice dyed.
Okay.
So it's not
What does
done
that
with like
mean?
liquid. Like, so liquid dyeing is like where you mix the dye up first and kind of squirt it onto it. This is all done with dry dye powder, sprinkled on, and then ice, and let the ice melt. So it creates some more of a flow. So you can see it's like kind of more flowy. It also allows the color to split.
Yeah.
Because the colors are all made from primary colors mixed together.
Yeah.
Put it on top of ice, you're gonna get that yellow and that blue and that red, you know, kind of splitting out and making different colors. So
That's awesome.
you can put one color. For example, like imperial purple is a color I use a lot, and that splits into blues and greens, and it's just one color.
That's cool.
Splits and all that.
That's amazing.
And then you have something like this too. That's what I call like a gravity dye.
Yeah.
So I tied it down the middle, and then both sides hang off over the edge, and it just drips down on top of it.
I mean, this is a crazy amount of like science and art and technique all at the same
it's
time.
Just a lot of learning and on Facebook and stuff. I mean, I'm definitely not the only one out here doing stuff like this, but that's the great thing about tie-dye is anyone doing the same style, it still is so unique. I mean, every piece is pretty unique to itself. I don't know if I've ever made any two pieces that are the same.
Do you do this full time?
I do not. No, this is more of a hobby for me.
More of a hobby. So how many fests do you get to a year?
This is only my second this year as far as vending. I go to a lot of festivals as a patron and a fellow music enthusiast there. A lot of bluegrass, a lot of jam stuff. But I had a free weekend and they wanted some vendors. So I've always wanted to come down here. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So
that's a
drove
good
about 10
drive.
hours to be here.
Yeah.
Always heard this is an amazing venue and wanted to check it out. And this is a perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
for
What
it.
do you think of the Caverns?
It's beautiful, man. From what I hear and what I've seen, the gentleman and whoever owns this place really cares for the land and for the place and wants to curate a venue that people can come and be happy and, you know, make memories at, not just make money.
Yeah.
There's nothing about this place or this event that screams consumerism to me or you know, there's nothing lacking to where they cut corners.
Yeah.
Everything is done pretty well, and everyone here is having a great time.
Did you do the cave tour?
I have not yet. We're trying to do it. It's been a little hard to get out here during the day, but if not, we'll just have to come back next year and do it then. But we've done plenty around here. There's a lot of awesome waterfalls and hikes around.
Yeah, such a great piece of land. Well, I appreciate you talking to me, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you, man.
Cheers.
So Hunter's great. And again, you see tie-dye at every single festival that you go to. But as I was walking by his booth, I literally was just caught by how vibrant the colors are. I have to say, I think Hunter does tie-dye better than anyone I've seen it, at least this year at festivals. I hope to see him out there again at a couple festivals because I definitely want to pick up a couple more pieces. Those would be good. That's always a side note too. Bringing home a tie-dye for somebody as a gift from a festival is always an appropriate festival because tie-dye is universal. It's hard to like bring something from the festival for somebody that wasn't there. Like that doesn't make any sense. But you know, tie-dye is kind of universal. So keep a lookout for Hunter because I hope he does more festivals. I think he's got some really good stuff. So folks, to quote our friend Billy Strings, this is the beginning of the end. That's what we have for this week, neighbors. And if you are so inclined and you want to see the rest of these videos, watch the YouTube channel. So the goal here is that I'm doing weekly news shows like this, but then daily videos out on YouTube. And there's over 20 videos from CaveFest, as well as about that same many from Renewal and then working back through festivals. One of the things I'm getting to next week is editing the lost footage from Lazy Jam 2024. And that was before the out-of-state trips. Next week on Friday the 11th, we're going to be talking to Miss Amy Heron, who is a neighbor that I met at Renewal during the campground jams up in Sturgeon Moon. And she's going to be talking about campground bluegrass jams and really like what the context is for that and what the etiquette is and some of the experiences. And you're going to hear a little bit about her band as well, Miss Amy and the Jet Set. So I'm excited about that. We're closing out season 1. So following that on Friday, 11/8, there's going to be a look at the Lost Lazy Jam footage. That'll be out then, as well as more of those videos on the Lazy Acres playlist. And then 11/16, we're going to recap season 1. And if I can make it down there, I may slip in some footage from the Industrial Strength Bluegrass Festival. It's only about an hour away from me, and it is my birthday weekend, so I'm hoping that I can at least make it down for a day, maybe see young Wyatt play some mandolin and get him on video as well. But thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate each of you. The neighborhood is definitely getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're close to almost 1,000 subscribers on YouTube now, and between 1,000 to 1,100 on Facebook between likes and followers. So I appreciate that y'all are paying attention. If you are in the mix and you're listening to this show regularly, please go ahead and rate it. Don't care what you rate it. Positive is always good. But if you do have feedback, I'm open to suggestions, and I'd love to hear your ideas on what you want to see on Music Festivals Podcast. You can email me directly for that at neighbornate, that's neighbor N8 at musicfestivalspodcast.com. And if you like what you're watching or listening to, go ahead and subscribe. If you are listening to this only on the audio podcast, make sure to head over to the YouTube channel and subscribe there as well. And when you do that, click that little bell notification button to make sure that you can set your preferences on when you want to get those alerts, because this is a YouTube video-centric show. It's a video show first. But either way that you're getting it, I very much appreciate it. So I'm going to leave you with a very special performance from CaveFest, and that is from the Grateful Ball that was led by the Traveling McCurries. So these guys are from Nashville, Tennessee, and they formed in 2009, and they're made up of exactly what you would think: the brother McCurries, Ronnie McCurry, Rob McCurry, Alan Bartman, Jason Carter, and Cody Kilby. They were formed out of the Del McCurry Band, and all of them, or at least most of them, still play in the Del McCurry Band with Del himself. I got to see those guys play with Del at Grassfire this past year as well, so you can go check those videos as well. Del's something else. But I want to leave you with a performance from the Grateful Ball that was on Sunday, 10/13. And just a side note of this, so fiddle player Jason Carter just this past week married Brownwyn Keith Hines, who is the fiddle player for Molly Tuttle and the Golden Highway. Saw her at Renewal. And that ceremony appropriately was held at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee on Tuesday, 10/15. So literally performance on Sunday the 13th. 2 days later, he's in Nashville, and the two of those amazing fiddle players are getting hitched at the Grand Ole Opry. So congrats to Jason and to Brownwyn on their recent marriage. I'm going to go ahead and leave you with Traveling McCurry's Grateful Ball at CaveFest. Here's West LA Fadeaway.
Welcome back, folks, to the Grateful Ball, as we call it. We play the songs of the Grateful Dead our way, bluegrass style, that is. We hope you appreciate it. You know, if you get a chance, up there in Owensboro, Kentucky, it's not too far away, they have the Bluegrass Hall of Fame. They have a wonderful exhibit right now on Jerry Garcia and his influence on bluegrass music. If you get a chance, you need to go see that, because it's going to be running for another year or so, and it's got the greatest collection of his instruments that there is right now, and all kinds of memorabilia. But take the time and go, folks.
Looking for his shed toe, 21 bruised with Pompano. down the street today. I met an old Mustang walking down the street today. I didn't want to be mean about it, but I didn't have one good word to say. West LA fade away. West LA fade away. Little red light on the highway, big green light on the speedway. Hey, hey. I had a steady job hauling items